alignment is most important. And that is when it moves the revenue needles. I decided to talk to Jessica, a VP of sales at Deskera, how a sales marketer can help a salesperson to drive their revenue and to achieve their goals, which will help a business goals. This episode is going to be very interesting. We'll talk practical tips and examples that salespeople needs from the marketeers. So I would, Jessica, you have an amazing background with the 17 years of experience, enterprise, you have already, so enterprise sales you have done, you have a leadership background, development background. Could you please introduce yourself in a 1 minute for our guest?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Jessica Molitor Larson. As Meg mentioned, I am the VP of Sales here at Deskera. So I spent 7 years at SAP Concur leading sales organizations. And then for the last almost 2 years, I've been leading the go-to-market strategy for Deskera here in the States.
Nice. And this specific topic is very interesting for me because when I started the digital marketing journey about 5 years back, I wasn't what I am today. I was only, designing a leaflet. I was putting some backlinks, doing the SEO, doing some ads. I have no idea what are the how it is helping business to get their, to achieve the revenue. That is where it was always hurting me. And I did a lot of research. I started talking to salespeople, what they want, how they want. They really started liking me. And that's when I felt, okay, I'm adding something value. I did study about it. This topic is really interesting for me. So what do you think, Jessica? What exactly, how the market team can work together? What should we discuss and how can we work together? What is your point?
Yeah. I mean, I think the marketing and sales alignment is probably one of the most important alignments across an organization. I always say you have to understand what the North Star for the organization is, and then all of the teams need to be on the same page. The reason I think oftentimes marketing and sales are at this combative phase of who gets credit is the reason behind that is, okay, did marketing generate that or did sales generate that? And I think especially over the last couple of years working in more of a startup environment, you really start to see the impact that marketing has. I'll give you an example. One of my reps once said, like, well, what's cold calling like when you're at a company like Concur? And I said, well, there's no such thing. Everyone knows who you are because there's that strong marketing presence and brand recognition. As you kind of get into smaller organizations, the alignment is so much more important because every interaction you have, no matter if it's sales, no matter if it's a marketing campaign, all of that's impacting the bottom line. So those two organizations working hand in hand and not fighting over who gets credit. I give marketing credit for everything because people have to be touched 8 times typically in order for them to say yes to something. Well, I guarantee that's not just coming from a salesperson. So I think kind of that's how I look at the marketing and sales alignment. It's like they're like a two-headed monster kind of per se. They need to be doing and thinking the exact same way. The messaging is different. Top of funnel messaging from marketing is different than sales messaging, but they have to come together and make sure we're not running 2 separate side funnels.
Absolutely. And I love when you said, okay, I feel good today. I'm going to sleep well. You think, okay, every sales coming from the marketing. And I always feel, okay, at the end, sales are closing the deals. So every deals are closed by sales. So the deals are for the sales. But I feel myself that should be helpful or worked with a sales team. Then what are the accounts that you're targeting? Which accounts you're targeting? I call this as a marketing meeting, not a marketing meeting, not a sales. So I name this as a marketing meeting and we discuss. So revenue analysis. So we together do the revenue. Okay, which are the specific account that you are targeting? Because there was a time that I'm targeting different account. I'm marketing to all the people. I have no idea about that. Okay, they are okay just because they are interesting. They are liking my LinkedIn post. They are engaging into my webinars. They are marketing leads. So they are leads for our company. So I was passing out to the sales team, but they are actually not. So first we start from the revenue analysis. So which are the type of accounts I'm bringing more revenue to the business, and then we would select those accounts. Okay, then my all the marketing content has to be targeted to these accounts. So first we select those accounts together, which can happen in the quarterly meeting, and then we make a plan roadmap to reach out to those accounts. Okay, what are the ways, which are the channels, because which are the channels that we can speak to, we can target. If they are not on LinkedIn, then there's no point we touch them on LinkedIn. And if they are actually active on LinkedIn, so let's touch them right there, and deciding the channel that they are available on. And this has to be also coming from getting the ideas from the sales team, because they are the one who actually speaks to the customer. So we ask that which are the channels where you speak, like where they are available. To as a marketer, they may not answer truly, but for the sales people, they are on regular basis. They are talking to them, so they know. So I believe the deciding on a channel is also can come from the marketing thing. Also, I would discuss that. Okay, what are the buying structures? So it's not every time that we market to the CEOs. They really do not have a time. The biggest mistake that we do, okay, let's target to all the CEOs in the world, thinking that they have all available time to listen to our product when they have their own other priorities. But instead, depending on the product. So for example, you have your ERP, accounting based software. So if I will target or reach out to the accountant, and then so I would, I say that let's target the champion. We discuss with the champion, and then once we know all the problems there, we create a business case. And we then a salesperson takes that whole champion's voice and gives that to the champion. Then okay, maybe a CEO or accountant, or also CTO, we understand. So we have a champion for us, who will work, because we have already, as a marketing, I've already convinced them to use our software. And they will recommend internally that, hey, this will be more useful for me, it will save my time, it will make me more productive. So we have already created um, champion within the industry, and it will become, I believe it will become easy for a salesperson to target that company that, hey, this is my product, this is my feature, and this is how it will help you. Are you ready to buy? And because internal champion has already influenced them within the target account, it's been easy for sales. It will become easy for salesperson to target that account. What's your opinion about this?
No, I 100% agree. And I think making sure you have those kind of separation of what everybody is doing. That's part of that great connection, is knowing, okay, how are we approaching them? Okay, if we're going from a more of an ABM standpoint, what is the message that we're sending to a controller or a CFO versus the message we're sending to a CEO? Because the controller is in the day-to-day. The CFO wants to know higher level. So really having that communication and then aligning on those companies. And I think the other piece to that is that the conversation on the revenue on the front end, but also the feedback on the back end. So making sure that part of that meeting is also saying, here are the leads that we did get. How were they? What did we find out? So that we're constantly tweaking and making that strategy better, versus just a set it and forget it and then coming back and every time we're just reporting on the same things. It's got to be feedback loops both ways. Here's what's in good, bad, ugly. How do we work in alignment to get it, kind of hone it in?
So yes, of course, I would love to discuss with the sales to get the content ideas for content ideas this sales team can give. Of course, it would be great, and I'm sure that content, once I have the idea, I'll be able to write the content. As a marketer, we'll be able to write and arrange the content for you, which a sales people can use it. I will give you a specific example. We were using a sales case studies all the time, like, case study showcasing our product features. Then we discussed, okay, how about we changed into a user story instead of a case study? And the user story, when I wrote that down, a salespeople, so I marketed that. I ran the ads on that particular those user story, and a sales team, exactly the same content, they took it and they pitched it, that this is how the product has been used. So do you want to buy that at the end? The bottom of the funnel. So it will be good. I also like to discuss what is the reason that they did not buy. So when we have a sales win loss analysis, so what how do you think we can add on to that?
I mean, I think win-loss analysis itself is, yes, 100% what we should be doing. Adding on to that, I guess the biggest thing is, what are the themes that we're finding out? I think oftentimes the one challenge with win-loss analysis is oftentimes is they made no decision. So when we're losing, it's because the customer's not actually doing anything. And so understanding what was the problem. So if we're going from the win loss, okay, what was the problem we were solving for? Too often, it's because the problem was too big, or like we didn't hone in on the actual impact of the problem. Even like what we see a lot of times is it might be like those champions, where those champions can't articulate to the buyer like the impact to them. So the champion says, for example, I'm spending a lot of time manually inputting data, and then the sales team is going back, or marketing was saying, hey, get rid of manual data entry, and the CFO is going, I don't care about manual data entry. I pay you, you know, $20 an hour or $15 an hour to data entry that. Well, the impact needs to be, what are the errors that are caused because of that? So when we dig into the win-loss analysis, really understanding that we're not just getting they made no decision, but like, why? What happened behind that? What was the problem we were sharing? And usually from a sales side, a lot of times that comes down to the sale that we didn't get enough impact statements. That we're
Yeah. So
selling
again,
a problem.
yeah, again the content. So we have to change our content strategy accordingly. When we have done the win loss analysis, so accordingly we could change our content strategy and we could use those content again to repurpose the content, or we improvise the content to make the lost into win account, right? I love this. What are the things that you think we could discuss? So what are the difficulties that we are facing to achieve those accounts, to win those accounts? How do you think the customer data, do you think giving customer information, for example, what are the team size available, or buying committee members information sharing, do you think we could discuss something in that line?
Absolutely. I think that kind of goes back to your ICP. Like, who are
Mhm.
we going after? It goes back to kind of, like I said, getting feedback, the feedback loop on who did engage. What is that conversation go? Because I'm going to say, hey, here are the 5 leads we have. These of them fall in what we think is our ICP, especially depending on the size of the organization. If you're a large organization, you probably have a really good idea of what your product market fit is and who you're going after. But as you go to smaller organizations, that's constantly changing. So it's like plotting it out every week to say, where are we in what we think? Because a lot of times you're hypothesizing on, here's where we think our target market is. But until you are, light years down the road, you may not actually know if you're targeting to the right customer. So constantly plotting that employee size, revenue band, who are our champions, and watching that week over week over week to say, like, is this staying in alignment? Same thing with your marketing, your conversion rates, right? We talk about the revenue part. Well, okay, how many leads did we get? How many of them came to marketing qualified, sales qualified? How many of them are moving down our funnel? Those two things is what your marketing and sales team should be talking about every single week. In
Mhm.
addition to kind of what we talked about from a strategy standpoint, because that's where you start moving the needle. If you wait too long in between, especially in a
Yeah.
smaller organization, you don't have, 1 week or 1 month in a small organization is like 10 years in an SAP style organization.
Absolutely. So that I would come to the point, like, let's make an SLA. So we will give you 10 leads, and within 24 hours you have to reach them out, and speak these kind of communicate. So discuss the automation for the communication channel. Okay, this is what you will discuss. And I have seen tools. Okay, so what using common tools, because some of the organization that I have worked on project, that we both are using, marketeers and sales teams are using a different tools. Have you seen something like this has
Yeah.
happened?
Oftentimes, and it's interesting too, talking to other leaders. I have a friend who is a CRO for a company, and they've purchased multiple organizations, and even within they're one organization, they have different marketing tools depending on segment. So enterprise might be using this, SMB might be using this, the sales team's using this. How are we bringing it all together? And when you're all over the place, it's really hard to track.
It's really difficult. But then if you have planned very well with the marketing and sales alignment together, with the VP of marketing and with the VP of sales together, I think it will become more easier. And if dividing it into specific accounts, segmentations, it will help. And then of course, if you have a different accounts, different types of products, you could serve different, and each department is looking at the different product. That makes sense. So could you tell me which are the tools that you use at Deskera, or what is the intent data? Where do you get those intent data? What kind of intent data do you leverage? To recommend us to leverage together, which will help us?
Absolutely. So we use a couple different tools. From a CRM standpoint, we have an in-house built CRM. So that's kind of where my team lives. We also use reply.io for email campaign strategy, and we use Instantly for some marketing nurture campaigns. And then we use Zoom Info from an intent data standpoint. I, in the past, have looked at Apollo, Seamless AI. There's a lot of really, really great tools out there. I think the biggest thing is getting the consistency and habit of using the tools and understanding, where your biggest impact for those tools are. So for Zoom Info, one of our biggest things is we look at intent data to say, okay, who is searching for things that we do? So things like ERP, things like MRP, manufacturing software. We have intent data on people searching for some of our competitors, things like NetSuite. Okay, who's looking at NetSuite? And then sharing that, we use it internally to say, okay, in my target strategy or my target accounts, which ones are looking for this from an intent standpoint? Outside of those target accounts, how can we take this data and say, hey, marketing, let's get top of the funnel to this? The one thing about intent data, it doesn't necessarily tell you who in that organization is looking, but if we use that ICP that we've identified with our marketing team, we can say, okay, these customers fall within our ideal customer profile. How do we now we know somebody's looking, how do we now put a nurture campaign out there to those customers? So now they understand who we are, because the biggest challenge, and I mentioned it earlier, is how do you build that brand recognition, especially when you're in more of a startup world, using that intent data to do some drip marketing or LinkedIn campaigns targeted. So they're seeing, again, that name multiple times. So by the time the sales team calls them and miraculously they say, yes, let's have a conversation. Well, it's because of all the different touch points they've seen around, maybe LinkedIn, a visual campaign, a Google ad, something along those lines. But again, it's sharing that intent data. So it's not just the sales team saying, here's what I see, but saying, hey, marketing, here are the customers, help us sift through this and make sure we're touching them in multiple kind of spots.
I call it this lead scoring system. So we could implement the lead scoring system, and then if they are at the score, or if they score, the specific lead scores 3, we target this message. If they are scoring 1, then sales goes and approach them for our product, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I love this. I love intent data. We at our place, I look at ocean.io, because in Europe, also, Dealfront is using giving a good intent data. I know it's not very good for US based market, but it has a good information about Europe intent data. It is giving good information. I also like to introduce or immediately implement IP lead feeder. Yeah, lead feeder, the one who recognize application on the system, and the content that we are providing, we are updating on the websites. We continuously monitor which IP account has visited this page. So intent pages like a pricing page. So if somebody has spent more than 15 minutes or 10 minutes on pricing page, or the page like how to do or competitive. So I have written a blog, my product versus the competitor's product. And if somebody is spending longer time, it means they are interested in our product, and that is why they are competitor comparison page. If I have that, if somebody is spending more time, so I would do my ads on those particular IPs, targeting those. So this has saved my cost cost per click. I am not advertising to all the everybody in the market, but I'm only advertising to people who are visiting those intent pages. Because it was happening that way, that we were running the webinars, but not all the people who are attending the webinars are our customers, or they are listening to our webinar. They are not our customer. Maybe they are our competitor. I would not add them, but I would put my I would showcase my ads who are spending time on the most intent pages that the clients are the prospects or IP are visiting to, and that kind of facilities there in Google Ads and also LinkedIn ad. So I really like this implementing immediately. IP based software. There is Albacross. There is a lead feeder. So if you have deal front and lead feeder now merged together, and so this helps a lot. And once we have a data that okay, then you have valid. Sometimes we were also made. I made a joke that okay, I feel that you have visited my specific project. I noticed that you have visited to our product. Are you interested in this? It became more easy for a sales team when I shared such information to the sales team that these are the so and so account have visited to our pages. You could reach out to them, and it was easy for salespeople to target them, to target those accounts. I love the intent data, and I'm glad that you're using Zoom Info. How do most people, most organization I have worked in it, I work for a smaller organization, and the time is more constrained. So, and bind like the business team, they do not allow CEO team, C-suite, they do not allow spending more time for a joint meetings. Sometimes also sales people are not interested in marketing meetings because they've never had this such a useful conversation with them. Maybe with their past experience, they have their targets to achieve. So how do you think we could attract or invite the salespeople for to attend this meeting, and also add more value to this, more inputs from their end? Because I've seen if they come to the meeting, they're not more interested in giving any information to the marketing team, because they believe, oh, marketing cannot do anything. So how do you think we should get them by?
I think the first way, from a sales perspective, I think the first step is marketing asking questions. I think oftentimes the disconnect comes where marketing says, hey, here's what we're doing, instead of leading with curiosity. And you've said quite a bit of times, it's like, how do we help the sales team? When this marketing team comes with leading with curiosity of how are those leads, and really almost like that humbling where we're both coming together and saying, how can I help you, versus here's what I've given you. I think that starts the conversation. One of the things I recommend to my team is working with our marketing is saying, hey, can you sit on a couple customer calls and hear from the customer? Sales team, if you have feedback on a lead, let's send it back to them so that they feel like they're being heard, because that's where you get the buy-in. When the sales team feels like the feedback they're giving is making an impact, that's where you get buy-in. And I think too often, because it's here's the plan, here's what we've done, and going back to kind of my conversation, really like we got credit for this, you have to take that away in like from an organization standpoint together. Like it's not whose lead is what. Like give credit to whoever you want. Give credit to everybody. At the end of the day, we as sales need to sell. We need marketing so customers knows who we are. Marketing needs salespeople to sell, because otherwise we don't have a business to run after. So really like breaking down those walls. The biggest thing is having whoever's leading those two organizations be on the same page, because if the leaders aren't on the same page, the people that are working with them are not going to be on the same page. If you have two really strong leaders, both over sales and both over marketing, that are in alignment together and having this conversation, the rest of the organization is going to fall.
This Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely that as in marketing we say that okay, think about them and not about you. So even when internal team meeting, I would think about them. What is your business priority and what are you doing? If we start with that, and I love when you said curiosity. So okay, what is happening in your leads? How are the leads? Of course, like you said, but I would also say why you're not okay. What is help? How can we help you? Instead of why you couldn't convert them, I would say how could we help you to achieve those leads? What are the messaging should we change and change in this so you could change, you could win those leads if you could ask those with the curiosity and not with the threatening or hey you couldn't do that much. Instead of that, the empathy, if that comes, I'm sure these meetings will get the wine. And I like when you say salute. I also like what is your other interesting thing that you to make it more interesting. I added like a gamifying. There was a time that I was asking, let's have a meeting, and when they were coming, they were not giving all the information. When I asked, okay, what type of content I should prepare, they would never give me a proper. Oh, what are you doing there? You should do your own research. What type of content we need? How can we give you all the information? So we played. I said, okay, we'll not. It's not just a formal meeting. Let's have a informal communication, and we asked like a quick five. And in 1 second, in 1 minute, how many question, like I was asking, okay, what are the reasons that clients are not buying, or what are the excuses that you are getting, and all the quick fives. And when you have to think, it is not real. When you don't have to think, it is real because it's coming, it's in your mind. So we like quick five. So the one in 1 minute, what all quick five things that the rejections are happening, and with those, okay, exact those content I use, those words I use it for my content to make that training, to make the content effective, to make my ad effective, to make my social media content effective. Oh, very well.
Yeah, I love that. And I think everybody, I mean, sales teams in general, they're competitive, right? Anytime you can gamify it or to do something like that. I think the other thing that I've seen really work is I think there's always going to be a portion of salespeople that have a marketing background. And I say that they went to school for marketing or they took marketing classes. And so they're kind of intrigued. So let them lean into that. Like let them say, hey, do you want to sit down with them and help come up with a strategy and feel like they're contributing? One of the people on my team right now has started writing some blogs and it's like, great. Like that makes him more engaged in marketing and how can I help? That's not his formal background, but it's something he's passionate about. So now he's bringing that to the marketing team, and marketing can help him tweak it. But it's like he feels like he's got a say in something. So that just brings the teams closer together. So kind of having that same kind of back and forth. So the gamifying, bringing them in, like I said, bringing marketing into a sales call, let them sit and let the customer know, hey, we want to hear from customers because our customers then feel valued that we're listening to them as well. So it's helping all the way around. When I said all of those different teams need to have one North Star that they're going towards. If you're doing those things, you're touching client success, you're touching sales, you're touching marketing, you're touching product because you're probably getting feedback from that customer on what other things we need from a product. And again, we're all looking at that one end goal. Where are we going?
When you said the North Star, we have to reach to the North Star. I like that. And I like it when you said that, of course, like, feeling of being a part of specific thing that, okay, one of the project that I was a part of it. And I like when sales team start writing on LinkedIn. It's amazing for me. Okay, not only marketing just saying it, but also sales team actively engaged on the social media platform. We don't expect them to run the ad, but even if they write content, they will be recognized. And when they reach out to the target account, okay, we know this man, like we know this boy who's always acting, or we know this person who's always active on LinkedIn. We've seen him. The trust can be built. It was really, it's amazing, right? So thank you, Jessica. It's really wonderful conversation. Let me summarize everything that we discussed. I think this was very actionable and fruitful meeting. If we have such a marketing team or such a marketing and sales combined marketing meetings, and to make that marketing meeting successful, we should have the revenue potential discussed, sales cycle length, and the channels should be discussed. The content, as you mentioned, what kind of a content that can be discussed within the team, and how to help each other. If we that empathy, we bring that into this marketing meeting and making it more interesting, like a gamifying, like being a part, value added to the specific project. It will make a marketing and sales team, a marketing and sales meeting, and the whole overall business growth successful. It was a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.